Hi, I'm Monica, and this is Darren with Florida Property Detectives. Ask the Inspector is a show that will cover topics that are commonly found and flagged in a home inspection report.
Ask the inspector.
Ask the inspector.
Ask the inspector.
So let's get to it. In this episode, we're going to talk about plumbing and what kind of plumbing do we typically find when we do inspections?
Yeah, the houses that we do typically are built from the 1960s onward. We don't do too many that are much older than that. So the types of plumbing that we see most frequently is copper, CPVC, and occasionally in some of the newer homes, PEX.
As you can see, we are actually in a bathroom because a home inspection, obviously very important that the bathrooms are looked at specifically with the plumbing. And I know that sometimes there can be leaks, but sometimes the leaks are so small, they're really hard to see. And we use infrared, right? So then that helps us detect leaks. Are there any other tools that are good to have when we do detect leaks?
I think that where we see most leaks or how we detect most leaks is just letting the plumbing run. And we'll turn it on in a bathroom as soon as we get into the room. And for the maybe 10 to 15 minutes that we're in that room, the plumbing's running the entire time. That gives us a pretty good idea if there's any leaks. The infrared gives us sometimes information about leaks maybe behind a wall. It'll change the surface temperature of the wall, the surface that we can see, and that's how it helps us find leaks. But in the bathrooms, typically we just find them by running the sinks and flushing the toilet and turning on the shower in the bathtub.
And just a little side note, the infrared, we have a different video about infrared, and it is not an x-ray machine.
No, it's not. It doesn't see through anything. It just takes surface temperature. It's really all it does. It does more than that, but that's what its primary job is, surface temperature, and tells us about thermal anomalies based on what it sees and the colors that it assigns certain temperatures. Monica, back to what you asked about the types of pipes that we see and some of the problems that we see with those pipes. We get asked a lot about copper. You may have copper in your home. It might have lasted perfectly fine for 50 years without any problems. But where we see problems with copper pipes is when they haven't been installed correctly in a slab, where they don't have room to expand and contract as they heat up and as they cool. That can lead to issues with copper pipes. CPVC is pretty reliable material. Where we typically see leaks with CPVC is at the connections, and often they just need to be tightened down a little bit.
All right, well, that's awesome information. Thanks for that.
When we inspect a toilet, we always push it a little bit to see if it's tight, check to make sure that the tank and the base are connected. We flush the toilet and fill the tank at least 3 times when we're in a bathroom to make sure that those mechanisms are working fine. And what we also do is we try to see if it's leaking underneath of the tile. And how we do that is we take our moisture meter and we'll calibrate it to get a baseline of 0 a little bit away from the toilet in an assumed dry location. And then we'll bring it around and we'll just kind of walk it around a couple inches from the base of the toilet to see if there's any water that's leaking out from the toilet base under this tile. You can't see that. Even the infrared won't pick that up under the tile, but the moisture meter will. So that's a good way to figure out if the toilet is leaking. Typically that means it just needs a new wax ring. Not a big deal on a concrete slab until the water gets back to the wall or can start doing damage. But on a second level bathroom, which we're in now, that water eventually is going to affect the structure below.
Ask the inspector.
Ask the inspector.
Ask the inspector.
You know, Monica, you mentioned that, or Monica, stay still. No, don't move. Monica, you asked about the types of pipes that we see in a home.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't very good either. Monica, you asked about, don't laugh. I just don't laugh.